Good day, everyone, and welcome to Cricket South Africa's Level 3 umpiring course. My name is Tom Mokorosi, and as usual, my partner for this evening is Abdullah Steenkamp. We will be taking you through lecture number 5 out of 6 of this course. And today's lecture involves only one law, Law 41, which is unfair play. There are 6 subsections which we will be presenting to you today. When we are done presenting the 6 subsections, we will then go through a click-by-click demonstration of the online exam that you will all be registering and attempting either on Saturday, the 4th of January at 9 a.m. South African time, or Monday, the 6th of January, 6 p.m. South African time. All the logistics as well as the registration details will be shown to you live, and you will have an opportunity to ask any questions if anything is unclear in that particular process. On display, as usual, are the meeting protocols, which I'm sure you are all au fait with by now. If you do have any questions while we present, please type them into the chat box and we will read through all of them after the click-by-click exam demonstration. So, moving on to the content to be presented tonight. As mentioned, we will be presenting 6 subsections of Law 41. Just a reminder to all of you that we are not presenting all 42 laws of cricket of the the MCC law book. We are only presenting those parts of those laws that are examined in Cricket South Africa's Level 3 exam. So Law 41 is the last law that is examined in Cricket South Africa's Level 3 exam, and these are the subsections that will be presented. I will be presenting 3 of them, and Abdullah will be presenting the other 3. So first we look at deliberate distraction, deception, or obstruction of batters after the ball was delivered. This is subsection 41.5 in the law book. So what do the umpires do when any fielder willfully attempts by word or by action to distract, obstruct, or deceive either batter after the striker has received the ball? This offense is seen in a serious light by the lawmakers, and you will see that the punishment and the process that the umpires need to apply is quite strict. Either umpire shall call and signal dead ball. Quite importantly, neither batter shall be dismissed from that delivery. We need to award 5 penalty runs to the batting side. The ball shall not count as one for the over. Earlier in the course, Pradyot from Dallas asked, how do we know when a dead ball that has been delivered should not count as one for the over? I will be putting a slide together tomorrow that we will present after our revision lecture for all of you to know which dead balls after the ball has been delivered do not count as a legal delivery in the over and need to be rebowled. This is one of those occasions. What runs other than the 5 penalty runs accrue to the batting side? Law tells us that any runs completed before the offense shall be scored together with any penalty runs Additionally, the run in progress, whether the batters have crossed or not, shall also be scored. This is the only time in the law where a run is awarded without the batters having crossed. Another important fact that is specific only to this part of this law: the batters at the wicket shall decide who faces the next delivery. So all of this, as you can see, very strict on the fielding side. So they should not be attempting any distraction, deception, or obstruction of either batter after the ball is delivered. Otherwise, all of this punishment will be dealt out against the fielding side. Lastly, we need to inform everyone and report the incident to the governing body for that particular match. So, having seen all of that, let us apply the law to a scenario. Once again, we have a quiz question for you to answer in the chat box. Quiz question 41.5. And it is either outstumped or 5 penalty runs awarded to the batting side, and all the other punishments to follow for deliberate deception, distraction, or obstruction of the batters by the fielding side. So watch the video carefully, and you should decide if what the wicketkeeper has done is legal, therefore the striker is outstumped, or are we going to award the penalties for deliberate deception by the wicketkeeper? I'm going to play it now, and we'll likely play it twice for you to see exactly what happens. I'll play it the second time without volume, and I will describe to you exactly what is happening. Bowler bowls a fair delivery down leg, and the wicketkeeper collects the ball, but turns around as if he has not collected the ball. The striker, seeing the wicketkeeper turning around and looking to see where the ball is, thinks that the ball has gone past the wicketkeeper, leaves his crease in attempting a run, and there the wicketkeeper, once the striker has left his crease, takes off the bails with the striker outside of his popping crease. There's an appeal for a stumping. So what do you, as the strikers and umpire, decide? Do you give the striker out stumped, or do you consider this a deliberate deception by the wicketkeeper? 5 penalty runs to be awarded to the batting side. The striker is not dismissed because he was attempting a run. That run will count. Both batters will decide who faces the next delivery. The delivery shall not count as a delivery in the over. Inform and report. Quiz question 41.5. Type into the chat box now: outstumped or 5 penalty runs awarded to the batting side. I'm going to play it one last time, and then we move on to the next subsection of this law. Right. The next subsection of Law 41 that we're covering is subsection 41.7, bowling of dangerous and unfair non-pitching deliveries, commonly referred to as full tosses. Law tells us that any delivery which passes or would have passed without pitching above waist height of the striker standing upright at the popping crease is unfair. Whenever such a delivery is bowled, the umpire shall immediately call and signal no ball. If the bowler's end umpire considers that there is a risk of injury to the striker, when the ball is dead, the umpire shall caution the bowler, indicating that this is a first and final warning. The umpire shall also inform the other umpire, the captain of the fielding side, and the batters of what has occurred. This caution shall apply to that bowler throughout the rest of the innings. Now, law simply says here that if the bowler's end umpire considers that there is a risk of injury to the striker, then the bowler's end umpire shall give the bowler a first and final warning. In most playing conditions around the world, it is defined as to what the bowler's end umpire could consider as a risk of injury to the striker. So the playing conditions most commonly applied to this law state that if the full toss above waist height at the striker standing upright at the crease is directed at the body of the striker, yes, we will call and signal no ball. We always call and signal no ball for full tosses above waist height. And that is primarily the call of the striker's end umpire to make, because he or she is in the best position to judge whether that ball passes the striker standing upright at the crease above waist height. Now, the decision as to whether the delivery was directed at the striker or was away from the striker is for the bowler's end umpire to make, because he is in the best position to judge the line of the delivery. So if the striker's end umpire has called and signaled no ball because of a non-pitching delivery or a full toss above waist height over the shoulder, above waist height of the striker standing upright at the popping crease, then if the bowler's end umpire adjudicates that the delivery was directed at the striker, then he or she will give the bowler a first and final warning. And it's important to notify the batters at the crease as well as the fielding captain of this first and final warning that shall apply to that bowler throughout the rest of the innings. Should there be any further delivery by the same bowler that is a full toss above waist height directed at the striker, the umpire shall call and signal no ball. When the ball is dead, direct the fielding captain to suspend the bowler immediately from bowling in the rest of that innings. If applicable, the over shall be completed by another bowler who shall neither have bowled any part of the previous over, nor shall that replacement bowler be allowed to bowl any part of the next over. We will inform everybody, and after the match, we will report this incident. Quite importantly, if there is, and this is to do with on-field application of the playing condition that I've mentioned, if the full toss is away from the body of the striker, then it is good umpiring practice for the bowler's end umpire to signal that the full toss was away from the body whichever side of the body that the ball was delivered. And in doing so, everybody will know why the bowler's end umpire is not warning the bowler. It is because the ball was, yes, it was a full toss, but it was not directed at the striker. So you must signal with both of your hands to the side of which the ball passed the striker. If, of course, the full toss was directed at the striker, then you would give a first and final warning. And if there is a repeated full toss directed at the striker, then you instruct the captain of the fielding side to suspend the bowler immediately from bowling in that innings. Please remember that we do answer all our questions in the exam based on the law, which is what we are displaying on screen. But in terms of on-field application, most playing conditions that I have come across in the world are similar to what I've explained to you, and that is how you should apply them on field. So quiz question 41.7, straightforward. Is the striker Shadab Khan outbowled, or is this to be adjudicated a no ball by Lungingidi? It's going to play in full speed once, and then it's going to play in slow motion from the side-on angle. And you will notice that that is the better angle from which to make the decision.
Oh, bowled him. I wonder if it's a no ball. Well, we're going upstairs for this. We're going upstairs.
This is over the waistline, yeah, and I think he's got a strong case.
Right, so make your decision. I'll just freeze it at this point. And what's interesting to note there is the strikers and umpire, Adrian Holstock, in this particular match, is standing probably about 2 meters in front of the popping crease. A lot of people often ask why. The simple reason is that you can see in the background there is a camera in line with the popping crease. So if he were to stand in line with that camera, in line with the popping crease, he would be blocking the view of that camera. So that is why you will see in televised matches, strikers and umpires either stand a meter or two in front of the popping crease or a meter or two behind the bowling crease, so as not to block the view of the camera of the important action happening at the popping crease and also at the stumps. So final answers, please, in the chat box. Quiz question 41.7, out bowled, or Q 41.7, no ball. We will go through these answers after the presentation by Abdullah, but before we get into the online exam click-by-click demonstration. Last subsection of Law 41 that I'll be taking you through is Law 41.8, the bowling of deliberate front foot no balls. If the bowler's end umpire considers that the bowler has delivered a deliberate front foot no ball, the bowler's end umpire shall immediately call and signal no ball. When the ball is dead, so we will allow play to continue until the ball is dead. When the ball is dead, we direct the captain of the fielding side to suspend the bowler immediately from bowling again in that particular innings. We need to inform the other umpire for the reason for this action. And of course, the bowler suspended shall not be allowed to bowl again in the rest of that innings. If applicable, the over shall be completed by another bowler who has not bowled any part of the previous over and cannot bowl any part of the next over. So pictured here is a delivery from the recently concluded Abu Dhabi 10s. You can see that the bowler is a good meter over the popping crease. Professional bowlers should not be bowling more than a foot over the popping crease. A foot is about 30 centimeters. So this can easily be interpreted as a deliberate front foot no ball. There has been a fair bit of debate about this particular delivery, and it is being investigated for spot fixing, as was the case with Mohammed Amir in a test match against England many years ago. I think it was in 2018. So what we normally find in terms of bowling of deliberate front foot no balls, and it's not a very common offense that is committed. It is usually if there has been a bit of niggle between the bowler and the striker. And maybe the striker nicked off and it wasn't a DRS match and the striker was caught, but the umpire didn't hear the nick and so didn't give the striker out caught. And of course, the striker didn't walk. So maybe there will be some negative energy by the bowler directed at the striker, and you will find that the bowler will be fired up and maybe have said a few words directed at the striker, which tells you that there is some intent coming up in the next delivery or so. So judge it by the match situation, and it will definitely be quite far over. As mentioned, professional bowlers will bowl big no balls to the extent of a foot, maybe a foot and a half, 30 to 45 centimeters. Anything bigger than that, you've got to start wondering if it was unintentional or if it was deliberate. It is quite a harsh penalty for deliberate no balls. So you need to be 100% sure that it was deliberate before you apply the penalty of suspending the bowler from bowling for the rest of the innings. He, I don't think, was suspended in this particular match, but as mentioned, it is under investigation for spot fixing. So judged by the match situation and the relationship between the striker and the bowler leading up to a big no ball before you decide to call a deliberate front foot no ball. That is all I'm presenting for this evening. I am now going to hand over to Abdullah to take us through the other three subsections of Law 41. Over to you, Abdullah.
Thank you so much, Tom. Good evening to you and good day to the rest of the attendees from across the world. Just give me a second while I get the slides ready. So the area or the law that I'm going to be focusing on tonight is the protected area. What is this protected area? Where is the protected area? Who is when are you allowed or when are you not allowed to go in there? And what is the punishment if you do go in there? So let's start with the protected area. What is this? It's a rectangle area, and there are marks on the pitch that guide us where this area is. So it's not marked on the pitch, but we'll see in the next slide. There are marks on there that guides us where this rectangle area is. And the first mark is 5 feet or 1.52 meters in front of the popping crease. And then there's also marks 30.48 centimeters from the middle stump. If we look at the diagram, and it will now indicate where this rectangle area is and what the protected area, where the protected area is. So it's the red shaded area. So the the markings is 1.52 or 5 feet from the popping crease on each end, and then also from the middle stump, 3.48 centimeters this side of the middle stump, and 3.48 centimeters on the other side of the middle stump. So now you need to draw imaginary dotted lines and the red protected or the red shaded area. That is the protected area, and we as umpires needs to protect that area from bowlers. They should not be going there without reasonable cause. Similarly, batters, the striker, as well as fielders. So just from a bowler's and umpire's viewpoint, that is where the protected area starts, and it goes right up to the other side. It mirrors on the other side. So we need to make sure that bowlers don't go in there without reasonable cause. Similarly, batters, as well as the striker and fielders. So let's look at a video first and see the animation video is going to cover batters, fielders, as well as bowlers going into the protected area and when they're allowed to and when not allowed to.
Damaging the pitch. Deliberately damaging the pitch is illegal and can be costly to the guilty player's side. A bowler will be deemed to be causing deliberate damage if the umpire considers that his or her presence on the protected area of the pitch, shown here in red, is without reasonable cause. This can be after delivering the ball, or, if the bowler fails to release the ball, after the completion of the delivery swing and delivery stride. The first offence will receive a caution. The second, a final warning. And if the bowler does it again, he or she will be suspended from bowling for the rest of the innings and may well face disciplinary action after the match.
For fielders and batsmen, it is the whole pitch that they must not damage, not just the protected area.
If any fielder causes deliberate damage to the pitch, he or she will face a similar caution and be reported to the captain.
If there is a repeat offence by any fielder during that innings, 5 runs are awarded to the batting side. Finally, if either batsman causes deliberate damage to the pitch, the batsman will be given a first and final warning and told this practice is unfair. This warning will apply through the innings and each incoming batsman will be warned. Should this happen again, the umpire will disallow all runs from that delivery, other than the penalty for a no ball or wide.
Furthermore, the umpire will award 5 penalty runs to the fielding side, return the batsmen to their original ends, inform both captains, and the offending player may well face disciplinary action after the match. If you're in any doubt, refer to Law 41 in the Blue Book.
Okay, so let's have a closer look at firstly the bowler. When is the bowler allowed to go into the protected area? And if the bowler do go in there without reasonable cause, what is the punishment? Then we'll look at batters going into the protected area. And then lastly, we'll go have a look at when the striker goes into the protected area. And for the purpose of the exam, you need to answer your questions as per law. So I'm going to cover now what the law tells us, how to deal with a bowler going in the protected area. After going through what the law tells us, how to handle if bowlers or batters or strikers go into the protected area, I'm going to go over a bit of fieldcraft in how to handle the various players going into the protected area. But let's start with the bowler running in the protected area as per the laws of cricket and as how you need to answer your question in the exam. So the law tells us unfair for the bowler to go in the protected area without reasonable cause. So what is the reasonable cause for the bowler to go in the protected area? I'll give you two examples. First is if the bowler needs to field the ball, let's say a striker hits the ball straight back down the pitch, the bowler then wants to field the ball, dives, and by diving goes into the protected area. That is a good reason why the bowler why the bowler ended up in the protected area. So the law allows for that. Another example, striker pulls the ball, get a top edge, the ball then goes up in the air. The bowler then sitting under the ball, trying to catch the ball, then goes into the protected area. Again, that's another good reason why the bowler's in there, trying to catch the ball. So the law allows for, if there's a good reason for the bowler to go in there, absolutely no issue. But if there's no reasonable cause, how do we deal with it? Firstly, at the first instance that the bowler goes into the protected area, the law tells us we need to caution the bowler. You then inform the other umpire that you've given the bowler a caution. And good practice, also inform the bowler's captain that you've given the bowler a caution for running in the protected area. And then this caution to apply throughout this innings, let's say it's the first innings of a test match. So throughout the entire first innings, this caution to apply. When we get to the second innings, the bowler will then start with a clean slate again. I've mentioned that you need to inform the captain of the fielding side of this caution and then inform the batters as well that you've given the bowler a caution for going into the protected area without reasonable cause. So what happens if in that innings the same bowler again goes into the protected area in his or her follow through? Now you need to give the bowler, you call the bowler over and tell the bowler, this is now your final warning for running in the protected area. Again, the law tells us that this final warning applies throughout the innings. You then also need to inform the fielding captain that you've given the bowler now a final warning. And you need to inform the batters of this final warning. And then you should also inform your colleague that you've given the bowler a final warning for running in the protected area. So now further on, again in the same innings, and let's say in the first innings of this particular test match, this bowler again goes into the protected area without reasonable cause. What do you do now? Now the law tells us you need to call the fielding captain over and tell the fielding captain to please suspend the bowler immediately from bowling. If this happened, let's say mid-over, the law now wants the over to be completed by another bowler, and this bowler or this new bowler should not have bowled the previous over, nor is this bowler allowed to bowl the next over. You then need to inform everyone, batters, your colleague, and then you need to report this to the governing body of cricket for that particular competition. So just to recap, according to the law, if a bowler goes into the protected area without reasonable cause, that first instance, you give the bowler a caution. You need to inform everyone, your colleague, fielding captain, and the batters. If in that same innings, the bowler again without reasonable cause goes into the protected area, you then inform the bowler that this is now your final warning for going into protected area. You then inform his or her captain, your colleague, as well as the batters. And if this same bowler in this same innings for a third time goes into the protected area, now the bowler needs to be suspended and the over needs to be completed by another bowler who didn't bowl the previous over, nor is this bowler allowed to bowl the next over. You need to inform everyone of this suspension, your colleague, the batters, and you need to report this to the governing body of cricket for that particular competition. Next, batters damaging the pitch. So we've now handled, we've covered now what happens if bowlers in their follow through runs into the protected area. Now we're going to speak about batters when they damage the pitch. Again, the law guides us and tell us it's unfair for batters to cause deliberate or avoidable damage to the pitch. And here the law mentions the pitch and not just the protected area. Although, yes, the protected area, we need to protect it. But here, when it comes to batters, it's unfair for them to cause deliberate or avoidable damage to the pitch and not just the protected area. What the law allows the striker to do is, the law allows the striker to go into the protected area if he or she is playing a shot, like when a spinner's bowling and the striker double steps or triple steps to try to get to the pitch of the ball. The law allows for that. That's a reasonable cause why the striker is in the protected area. But then the law goes further by telling us, yes, we'll allow the striker to go in there if there's a reasonable cause, like in the example, spinner bowling, striker double stepping or triple stepping to get to the pitch of the ball. So yes, the striker is now in the protected area, but as soon as the shot is played, the striker then needs to get out of the protected area needs to get out of the pitch or off the pitch as soon as possible. So what happens if either batter causes deliberate or avoidable damage to the pitch? At the first instance, the umpire seeing this, when the ball is dead, inform his or her colleague of that the batters caused deliberate and avoidable damage to the pitch. Bowlers and umpire then to warn both batters that what they did is unfair, and this is your first and final warning. This warning is a team warning, and the warning to apply throughout the innings. And because it's a team warning, and let's say the opening batters cause deliberate damage to the pitch, the umpire needs to inform each new incoming batter of this team warning, that the team is on a first and final warning for batters causing deliberate damage to the pitch. You need to inform the fielding captain of this, and as soon as practicable, captain of the batting side that his or her side is on the first and final warning for batters causing deliberate damage to the pitch. So now first and final warning, that's the first instance. Again, now in the same innings, the batters caused avoidable damage to the pitch. What now needs to happen? The umpire seeing this, and when the ball is dead, needs to inform his or her colleague of what just happened. Now the bowler's in umpire needs to disallow all runs to the batting side. Return any not out batter back to his or her original end. Signal no ball or wide if applicable. Award 5 penalty runs to the fielding side. Also award any other 5 penalty runs that may be applicable, except if the ball should hit the protective helmet that was placed behind the keeper by the fielding side. The umpire then needs to inform everyone, and this needs to be reported to the governing body of cricket for that particular competition. So again, just to summarize, batters, when they damage the pitch, the law wants them to get off the pitch as soon as possible. Yes, the law allows them to double step or triple step to play their shot, but after the shot is played, they need to get off. If they do damage, cause avoidable damage to the pitch, the procedure is as follows. The first time, you'll give a first and final warning, and you need to inform everyone, and it's a team warning. You need to inform each and incoming batter of this team warning. If it happens again, when the ball is dead, bowlers in umpire to disallow all runs to the batting side, any not out batter back to the original end. If there was a wide or no ball, it will count. 5 penalty runs to the fielding side. Any other 5 penalty runs to count, except if the ball should hit the helmet that was placed behind the keeper, and you need to inform everyone and report this to the governing body. This is again how the law wants us to handle when batters damage the pitch. Lastly, when it comes to the striker in the protected area, let's see what the law tells us when it comes to the striker. The law tells us that the striker not to stand so close to the protected area that by standing so close to the protected area that by, let's say, playing a forward defensive shot, that every time he or she plays a forward defensive shot, that front foot will go into the protected area. The law does not want the striker to stand so close. The law allows the striker to make a guard on the pitch, but that guard to not be unreasonably close to the protected area. So if the striker contravenes the 2 points I've made, you need to give the striker a first and final warning, and this warning to apply throughout the innings. Again, this is a team warning, so you need to inform the non-striker and each incoming batter. Also inform the captain of the fielding side, and when practicable, captain of the batting side. So the first instance, striker goes into the protected area, you give that first and final warning. If again in that innings, a striker again goes into the protected area, now disallow all runs to the batting side, return any not out batter back to their original ends. If there was a no ball or wide, it to apply. 5 penalty runs to the fielding side. Award any other 5 penalty runs except penalty runs if the ball should hit the helmet that was placed behind the keeper. You will inform everyone and report this to the governing body. So what I've discovered covered was 3 instances: the bowler firstly, the batters secondly, and then the striker going into the protected area, and according to the law, how we as umpires needs to deal with it. And for the exam purposes, you need to answer your questions as per the law. What I want to cover now is practically how we deal this, and this is just how I practically handle it. There are other umpires that might differ, But I practically handle the three instances as follows. I'll start with the bowler. So according to the law say, bowler, go in there the first time, you give a caution. Second time, you give a final warning. Third time, remove the bowler from the attack. That's what the law say. But practically, let's just imagine first over of a test match. First ball of the innings, first ball of the test match, the bowler goes and runs into the protected area. According to the law, the bowler's in, you need to give a first caution. But just imagine, first ball of the test match, you now give the bowler a caution for running into the protected area. And just imagine, let's say the second ball, the bowler is in again, you give now a final warning. And the third ball of the test match, you remove the bowler from the attack. So let's say it's Jasprit Bumrah. 3 balls into the test match, Jasprit Bumrah is out of the attack, not allowed to bowl again in the first innings of that particular test match. Yes, according to the law, spot on, umpire, 100% correct. You can just imagine you going to have Bumrah, Rohit Sharma all over you. You're going to have a long test match. So what I do is, I try to work with the bowlers. I try to help the bowlers. So what I do is, again, this is a method that I apply for purposes of the exam. You need to answer the questions as per the law. But practically how I deal with this is, let's say first ball of the test match, Bumrah bowls and he's in. So what I'll do is, as Bumrah walks past me, I'll have a quiet word with Bumrah as he walks past me and say, I'll tell him, Jasprit, you are in the protected area in your follow through. Please, you need to, stay out of the protected area. So initially, I try to work with the bowler. And 99% of the time, the bowler would say, oh, thank you, umpire, thank you. I'll stay out the next time. So again, this is just my method. I try to work with the players. I don't think the very first ball of a test match, the bowler would purposefully run in the protected area. So work with him first ball. Let's say the second time he's in again. I then again I'll whisper as you walk past me. I said I'll tell him, Jasprit, second time that you're in now, I need you to please stay out of the protected area. Then what I'll do is, let's say now third time he's in again. Now I'll call Rohit over as well, and I'll speak to the bowler. I'll speak to Rohit. I'll tell Rohit, I spoke to Jasprit. This is now the third time that he's in. Trying to work with him, but he keeps on running in the protected area. Part of my job is to protect that area. It's a 5-day test match. If Jasprit is going to keep on running in the protected area, I promise you, day 3, 4, and 5, there's going to be a huge rough patches if I'm going to allow bowlers just to run in the protected area. So this is now the third time I'm speaking to him. I'm just letting you know that the next time I am going, so these were like, I gave him now, let's say 3 friendlies. Next time I'm going official. Next time it's going to be an official caution. So now, if he goes in the protected area now again, and I do go into an official caution, no one can point fingers at me as the umpire. Initially, I try to work with the bowler. You obviously need to draw the line somewhere. So I try to work with the bowler, but I cannot allow the bowler to continuously run in the protected area. So if I do now go into action and I do now say, Jasprit, that's your first caution for running in the protected area. Inform Rohit, giving Jasprit caution for running in the protected area. No one can point any fingers at me. I've informed everyone, of the process. They can see I was trying to work with the bowler. So again, this is just my method. Initially, I try to work with the bowler. There's nowhere in the law that tells us give a first or friendly, a second friendly, third friendly, or only one friendly or two. There's nothing in the law, nowhere in the playing conditions that states you have to work with the bowler and give the bowler friendlies. Nowhere. But it is my method of managing the game. Initially, trying to work with the bowler. But obviously, I need to draw the line somewhere, and depending on the game's situation. And as I said, let's say it's the first innings of the first over or the first hour of a test match, I'll be a bit more lenient. I don't think the opening bowler first over of a test match would purposefully run in the protected area, trying to scuff it up. So my method, we try to initially work with the bowler, and if not, I'll speak with the bowler. I'll then bring his or a captain in as well. And when I now do go over into action, no one is surprised. Also, when you do give these friendly warnings, please inform your colleague as well that you spoke to the bowler and you've given the bowler a friendly, or for one friendly or two friendlies. Why is that important? Because what bowlers often do is you speak to them, you give them a friendly, and you give them, let's say, a second friendly. They will now change ends, go bowl from the other end. Maybe see if they can get away with running in the protected area from the other end. So that's why it's important for your colleague, for you to inform your colleague of these friendlies. So if the bowler do go bowl from the other end, and which they often do, they try their luck at the other end. And when the bowler hands that cap to you, you can just have a word with the bowler when he or she hands the cap to you, saying, my colleagues already given you two friendlies from that end. You need to be careful. Please stay out of the protected area. Because we cannot just be giving friendly warnings one side. Let's say I give 3 friendly warnings. Now I goes bowl the other side. Then then my colleague gives 3 friendly warnings. Then the bowler switch ends again, coming from my side. Then I go again 3. No. So when I start with the friendly warnings, and bowlers always try their luck to bowl from the other side, just remind that bowler and remind his or her captain that I see the bowler switching in, which is no problem, but I'm just reminding you that your bowler is already on 2 friendlies or 3 friendlies. Next one, if he or she goes in, we're going into action, so I'm going to give a caution. And if you do go into action, no one can point fingers at you. You inform everyone. You try to to work with the bowler, try to help the bowler, but the bowler continuously running in. You need to do what you need to do. Again, just my method. Initially, I try to work with the bowler, but also what you need to take into account is, and different stages of the match will require you to act differently when it comes to bowlers running in. Initially, with my example, the first hour of a test match, I mean, it's a 5-day test match, bowler running in, I'll be a bit more lenient. But let's say this is now day 4 or morning of day 5, and bowlers running in, I'll be a bit more stricter this time. Why would I be a bit more stricter? Because now bowlers can try, and especially if they have spinners in their side, they can try to rough up that protected area to bring their spinners into the game. So the point I'm trying to make is the match situation dictates how strict you are in handling bowlers running in the protected area. So if it is the first morning of a test match, I'll be a bit more lenient. I'll try to work with the bowler. But if this is day 4, morning of day 5, 2 spinners in their side, I would be much more stricter in terms of giving these friendly warnings. I would go, if I see the bowler in there the first time, let's say it's the evening of day 4 and there's 2 spinners in the side. First time the bowler goes in, I'll say, bowler, I see you've in, but remember, I know you've got 2 spinners in your side. I will be much more stricter at this stage of the game. So I'm letting you know now. I've given you a friendly, but next one I'm going into action. I'll relay that message to my partner as well as the fielding captain. So that is now bowlers going into protected area. I try to work with them. When it comes to batters, the same. Initially, I try to work with the batters. Again, the match situation will dictate how stern I am in applying this. Let's say the first hour of a test match, and let's say I see the batters run in the protected area. So what I'll do is, according to the law, they say if the batter's in, you go first and final. They're in again, you disallow runs, 5 penalty runs, and all that other steps. So initially, I try to work with the batters. If I see they run, this is our first morning of our test match, I see the batters run in the protected area, I will have a quiet word with the batter or batters, saying, batters or batter, I saw you run straight down the middle. Please, you need to stay out of the protected area. So this is our first morning. So I don't think first morning of the test match, the batter would deliberately trying to rough up. I would say 9 out of 10 times they wouldn't. Maybe that 1 or 2 batters will maybe try, but I wouldn't think first morning of a test match they would deliberately try to scuff up the protected area. So initially, I'll try to work with the batters, reminding them, please stay out of the protected area. Let's say that's the first time. Second time, I'll do the same. I'll say, batters, second time I'm speaking to you now, you need to stay out of the protected area. I cannot just, and I need to draw the line somewhere. I cannot just allow them just to keep on running in that protected area. So importantly, please inform your colleague as well to keep a watch on the batters, and so that they can stay out of the protected area. So again, I apply the same principle. I initially try to help the batters, have a quiet word with them. After, let's say, 2 occasions or 3 occasions, they're still in now. I'll say, batters, I've now done with these friendlies. I've tried to help you, but you keep on running in the protected area. Next time, I'm going into action. I'm going to give you your first and final warning. So try to help the batters, but if they continue, we then need to apply the law. And again, the match situation will dictate how strict you apply this law. So if you compare, let's say, the first hour of a test match compared to late on day 4, a declaration is imminent. The batting side on the evening of day 4, they've got 2 spinners in their side. They know they're going to declare soon. And knowing they've got 2 spinners, they would try to rough up that protected area. So the context, the match situation many times would dictate how strict you are. So if it's the evening of day 4 and I know a declaration is imminent and you need to be careful, there's 2 or 3 spinners in the opposing side, batters, they will look innocent. Oh, umpire, sorry, I didn't know I was watching the ball. They know exactly what they're doing. So the point I'm just trying to make is the match situation will at times dictate a more strict approach in handling batters running in the protected area or running straight down. And lastly, striker in the protected area. Again, initially, I try to work with the striker. According to the law, if they go in, you go first in final warning. And if they go in again, you need to then disallow all runs and 5 penalty runs, etc. I try to work with the batters. If I do see the batter stand, take a stance very close to the protected area, let's say just a foot outside the protected area. So initially I won't say anything, because what I want to check is, I want to check, allow one ball to be bowled, because I want to check the batters or the striker's movement. Because I had many occasions, striker initially looks to stand or take guard close to the protected area, but then the striker's trigger movement, this back and across movement, take the striker close again to the popping crease. So now in that instance, just imagine I had to intervene and say, yeah, striker, you're close to the protected area. You're not allowed to stand there. But the back and across movement took the striker away from the protected area. So there was actually no need to intervene. You can just by intervening too early, you could leave a bit of bitter taste between you and the striker would be in your ear the whole time. So that first ball, I'll watch what the striker's doing. If it's back and across and then far away from the protected area, no issue. I won't say anything. But if that first ball gets bowled and I see that first movement, that stride takes the striker in the protected area, now I will come up and whisper in the striker's ear. I won't make a big thing about it. I'll just whisper, say, striker, you are standing close to the protected area. I saw that first stride of yours, took that front foot in the protected area. You're not allowed. You need to move a bit back. So initially, try to work with the striker. The striker say, no, this is where I stand. And if the striker then goes forward and put that front foot continuously in there, I then now need to go into action. So initially, try to work. If they then still persist, then I have to then follow the book. So again, my method of umpiring, there are other umpires that handles it differently. I initially just try to work with the players, with the striker, with the batters, with the bowlers. The game situation dictates how strict I am. Tom, thank you so much. That's all I'm covering this evening. I'm now handing back over to you.
Thanks, Dula. We are now going to go to the revision questions that were presented earlier, and thank you to all of you for answering. Quiz question 41.5. Is the striker out-stumped, or do we award 5 penalty runs and the rest of the penalty procedure because the wicketkeeper has deliberately deceived the striker? Let's have one last look at the incident, and then I will talk you through the correct answer and procedure. So I'll play it through again without the music, and I'll talk you through the incident. Bowler bowls the ball down leg side. Wicketkeeper collects, turns around to deliberately deceive the striker. The striker is deceived, leaves his crease thinking that the ball has gone past the wicketkeeper, and the wicketkeeper, realizing that the striker is now out of his ground, has whipped off the bails and affected a stumping. There's obviously an appeal for stumping, and it appears as though the strikers and umpire has given the striker out. Was that the correct decision? Definitely not the correct decision by the strikers and umpire. Yes, it all happened very quickly. Possibly what the strikers and umpire should have done is call and signal dead ball to go and consult with his partner buy himself time. When they are coming together, that is also the opportunity where the fielding captain has the option of withdrawing the unsporting appeal. So anyway, let us answer the appeal. The appeal should not be out. Why? Because this is a clear example of deliberate deception by the wicket keeper. Him catching the ball and then turning around to make as if he's looking for the ball beyond him is deliberate deception. And unfortunately, the striker was deceived. And this is exactly the type of scenario that the law is in place to rule against. So the correct procedure here is for the strikers and umpire to call and signal dead ball for the deliberate deception of the striker. There will be no batter who is dismissed in the delivery. The ball shall not count as one in the over. We need to award 5 penalty runs to the batting side. The ball needs to be re-bowled. Any runs completed before the offense shall be scored together with any penalty runs. Additionally, the run in progress, whether the batters had crossed or not, shall also be scored. So we see the striker taking off for the run. So that is to be considered a run in progress. Even though the batters haven't crossed, this is the only place in the law where that run shall count. And also, after the delivery, the batters at the wicket shall decide who faces the next delivery. We will inform everyone and report the incident after the match to the governing body of that particular competition. In the exam, when answering a question like this, if there is informing and reporting to be done, you don't need to write out the long-winded sentence as to who you're going to inform and who you're going to report to. You only get half a mark for inform and half a mark for report. So just write inform and report, and you will get your required marks. So that was question 41.6. Next question is question 41.7. Is Shadab Khan out bowled, or is this a no ball by Lungingiri? At full speed, I'll play it again. It is not that easy for the bowlers and umpire to judge the height of the delivery when it passed the popping crease. It is easier for the strikers and umpire to make this call. He or she is in a better position to do so. I just saw a question in the chat box saying if the strikers and umpire does not call and signal no ball when the ball is obviously above waist height, can the bowlers and umpire call and signal no ball? The answer is yes. The call actually does belong to the bowlers and umpire, so he or she has all rights to call it. However, good teamwork is for you and your partner to have signals confirmed in the morning before the start of the game as to if the strikers and umpire loses the flight of the delivery. Maybe there is a white background and the ball gets lost in that background, with the ball being white in a limited overs match. Then maybe you can tell the bowlers and umpire that you are going to signal, I cannot see the ball in this fashion. And there the bowlers and umpire would make the call and signal of no ball when they are confident that the ball is indeed above waist height of the striker standing upright at the popping crease. If you do not agree, it is best to go with the call of the strikers and umpire because, as mentioned, and as we can see in this particular example, it is a lot easier, or the strikers and umpire is in a better position to judge the height of a full toss. And so if you do not agree as the bowlers and umpire, rather go with your strikers and umpires call. Why? Because any of you who have ever umpired or played the game will notice that whenever there is a full toss that is close to or above waist height, all the players look at the strikers and umpire to make that call. And it is good umpiring practice for the strikers and umpire if they see that the ball is just below waist height to signal as such, to show that yes, they have seen that it's close, but it is below waist height. So we signal with the hands pushing downwards just below waist height. Of course, if you see that it is above waist height with the striker standing upright at the popping crease, then you do indeed signal, call and signal no ball loud enough for everybody on the field to hear the call, so that fielders don't take a catch and celebrate, thinking that the striker is out caught when the striker is not out, because you cannot be caught off a no ball. Okay, so the correct answer here, you can see that Shadab Khan is actually standing on his toes, and this ball is a couple of centimeters above waist height, even standing on his toes. So definitely standing normally upright at the popping crease, it is above waist height. Correct answer for question 41.7 is call and signal no ball. And also, because this ball was directed at the striker, then the bowlers and umpire should call and signal first warning to Lungi Ngidi for a full toss above waist height directed at the striker. And good umpiring practice would also be to inform the captain of the fielding side that Lungi Ngidi is on a first and final warning for a full toss directed at the striker. Right, so we have come to the end of our quiz questions for this evening. We are now, before we go into the chat box for all of the other questions that you have related to the content that we have delivered this evening, we are going to go to our click-by-click demonstration of the Level 3 Cricket South Africa online umpiring exam. So firstly, let me remind you of the process. The process is that you all who wish to write the exam need to pay the exam fee, and the exam fee is $40 for candidates outside of South Africa. It is 400 rands for candidates in South Africa. And on the emails that I've been sending throughout the duration of the course, you will have the payment details listed. The deadline to pay for the exam is Thursday, the 2nd of January at 6 p.m. South African time. That is the same time that our lectures have been starting. So just keep that in mind for your particular time zone. And of course, you also need to send your level 2 certificate from any cricket playing country around the world to training at wpcua.co.za. You cannot write Cricket South Africa's level 3 exam if you only have a level 1 exam from a level 1 certificate from ICC or any other cricket playing country. Those of you who are members of other umpiring associations in South Africa need to get permission from your umpire association, the executive committee members. It needs to be on a letterhead and needs to be addressed to Western Province Cricket Umpires Association, giving you permission to write with WPCUA. If you don't have permission from your home association to write with us, you need to contact your head of training to find out when they will be hosting a face-to-face written level 3 exam at your home association. On screen, you will see as well that the online exams will be proctored and identification is required for those exams. So let us go into that particular process. On Wednesday, apologies, on Friday, I just need to stop the presentation. On Friday, the 3rd of January, those of you who have registered for the exam, and whether you'll be writing on Saturday, the 4th, or on Monday, the 6th of January, you will receive such an email from assessors@examonline.in. The subject of the email will be registration information, and the name that the email will be coming from, it says Umpires Association. The message will be short and sweet. It will say, dear, you have been registered for the Cricket South Africa Level 3 umpiring exam, and it will give you the URL that you need to copy and paste into a Google Chrome browser. Google Chrome is the recommended browser for the exam. If you don't have Google Chrome, I would suggest downloading it before your exam date. I first tried the exam website using Safari, which is my default browser on my MacBook, and Safari didn't work. I know Abdullah managed to use Microsoft Edge successfully for his demo exam. So we know that Safari doesn't work. We know that Google Chrome works. We know that Microsoft Edge works. The recommended browser by the exam online administrators is Google Chrome. So I'm currently using Safari, so I would copy this link and I would paste it into Google Chrome, and then I would also copy my user ID and copy my password into Google Chrome. Here I've got to Google Chrome and I've copied and pasted the user ID and my password, and I just need to click on this box to verify that I'm not a robot. Once I have verified that I'm not a robot, I then sign myself in. When you sign in, you will see the exam that you have been scheduled for. So I have previously done a couple of demos, and you can see that I've completed one and I missed the other one. You will only see one exam that you are scheduled to. That will be Cricket South Africa Level 3. And the window period for which you can write your exam will be for the 4th of January if you're writing on Saturday, and it will be for the 6th of January if you are writing on Monday. For the purposes of this demo, they have opened a window period for me from today until the 6th of January. So then we click on Start. And firstly, you have to accept the terms and conditions of the use of the website. And the terms are as follows. This exam is conducted through remote proctoring. Your photo will be captured and your screen will be shared and recorded. Your audio and video might be recorded for future reference. So you need to accept to be able to continue. Next screen tells us that before we proceed to the exam, let's check the subsequent requirements, the system requirements to ensure a seamless experience. Okay, so click on Begin Process, and there is a troubleshooting guide here if you do have any problems with the system requirements testing process that I'm about to begin. So it is checking our internet connectivity, and you do need to make sure that you have got good Wi-Fi. It then checks my webcam. It says your photo captured during this check will be utilized for artificial intelligence verification during the exam. Please ensure to capture a clear image of yourself. Your face must be positioned inside the oval, optimal camera distance, and the photo must be clear. I'm just going to come slightly closer to the camera, and then I'm going to click my picture. So it's taken the picture, and it says kindly verify whether you can submit the photo you captured to the proctor for authorization. And I'm happy with this picture. It shows my face. And so I'm going to save and go on to the next screen. If you're not happy with the picture that you've taken, maybe you had turned your head to the side, then you need to click again and you will be able to take another picture. So once I have saved my picture, then I am going to now take a picture of my identity document. This is to verify that it is indeed Thomas Mokorosi who's going to be writing the exam. So we need to lift up our identity card or document. You can use your passport or your official country's ID to take a picture thereof. Get as close to the camera on your device as possible. And then once you can read the letters on the identity document or card, then you click Capture My ID. So just take that step slowly, that you make sure that the text is readable. It's just about readable on my side. It says TC Mokorosi, driver's license, and you can see the picture of my ID. So I'm happy with that, and I go save and next. Now, what happens is refer to the instructions mentioned in the right panel for steps to enable screen sharing. Now, I'm going to share my screen on this website so that my proctor, Abdullah Steenkamp, can watch me and monitor my actions throughout the exam. So I need to click on share screen. And yes, we're going to share the entire screen. And I'm going to click on the entire screen option, and I'm going to share. And please make sure that you're not sharing your Chrome tab, you're not sharing your Chrome window, you're sharing your entire screen. And then I click on share. And then it notifies you that your system is set for screen sharing. And you can then hide this message. Otherwise, it stays on there for the duration of your exam. You don't need it on there for the duration of your exam. Please, whatever you do, do not click on stop sharing. Rather, click on hide. Because if you stop sharing your screen, then the proctor, Abdullah, or myself, who will be doing the proctoring for the exams, will not authorize your admittance into the exam room. So while I was mentioning all of that, the system was doing a final check on my device and internet connections, and it says that your device is all set for the online proctored exam. Let's initiate the authorization process. And when I click on continue, you will see that I am being assigned to a proctor, and I should then see Abdullah, but Abdullah, what he has done on his side as the proctor, he has authorized me, and I am now ready to write my exam. So if there is any requirement from the proctor for you to retake the picture of yourself or the picture of your identity document, then the proctor will appear in this black screen, or they will type a message to you that will appear in your screen, and then you will be directed to retake your picture or pictures. But Abdullah has authorized me straight away because he saw my 2 pictures and he was happy with them. And then I can begin examination. What Abdullah or myself as the proctors might also do is ask you as the exam candidate to show your room surroundings using the webcam of your device. So this is to ensure that there is no material or devices that you can use to help you in the exam, and also to ensure that you're the only person in the room. Remember that it is a closed book exam, and you are not allowed to make use of any devices or material on your laptop or anywhere else in the room. So, Proctor Abdullah, I'm showing you my room, which has got a couple of pool floaters in them and a wall heater and a drying machine. And there you can see my desk, which has got a printer on it. My phone is in the room, and we will see later in the demonstration that you are not allowed to use your phone. You are allowed to use your phone if that is the only device you have available to you. So this website can be accessed by a mobile phone. It can be accessed by a tablet, but it is preferred and recommended that you use a laptop or a desktop computer for best user interface and experience. So I'm going to click on begin examination, and what you will see is it takes a bit of a while to load, and also it needs to be time for you to write the exam. So for example, the exam is going to start at 9 a.m. South African time on Saturday. If you have done all of your authorizations by 8:45, for example, you will not be allowed into the exam room before 9 a.m. So we will open the authorization section of this process at 8:30, which is 30 minutes before the exam is set to start. And Abdullah and I will be authorizing exam candidates in that 30-minute window period before the exam starts. But once you have been authorized, you cannot start your exam before 9 a.m. What you will be able to do is you will be able to read the exam instructions, and these exam instructions currently are not 100% configured for Cricket South Africa. For you on Saturday and on Monday, they will be configured to read exactly how Cricket South Africa needs the exam instructions to read. So take your time to read thoroughly through the exam instructions. There will be instructions such as the room must be quiet and you be alone in the room. No cell phones are allowed to be used except if you're using your cell phone for the exam. No law book, no notes, and no open documents on your computer are to be used. No screenshots of the website are to be taken. No copying and pasting is allowed. No talking to anyone except the proctor during the exam. If you need to go to the toilet, you may ask the proctor for permission. All movement and sounds are documented by artificial intelligence, and proctoring reports will be generated for each exam candidate after the end of the exam. So that is what you will be reading while you wait for your exam to start. When you have read and understood the instructions, then you click on the checkbox and you can begin your exam. Just a heads up, it says here exam time is 60 minutes. The level 3 exam is supposed to be written in 3 hours, which is 180 minutes. But because this is a new process for all of us, and not everybody is fast on typing, we are allowing a maximum of 3 hours and 45 minutes for you to answer all the questions in the Cricket South Africa Level 3 umpiring exam. You will see the time count down as you go through the exam. So now I'm going to begin examination, and here you will see that the questions come up and you see immediately how many questions there are in total. there are 24 questions in this particular demo exam. And if there are related questions, they all come up at the same time. So question 1 has 4 sub-questions. Question 1.1, question 1.2, question 1.3, and question 1.4. And all 4 of them are displayed at the same time because you need to use the information. Sometimes you need to use the information of the one question to answer the next question, or at least the body of the top of the question to answer the subsections of the question. So you can, once you have read the question, type your answer into the text box provided, and you need to, especially where you have more than one question displayed at the same time, you need to type in 1.1. So in a 4-day match, lunch is scheduled from 12:10 to 12:50. Team Red is all out at 12:03 after facing 31.3 overs from the allotted 100 overs in the day's play. So the question says, discuss in full timings and overs, the procedure according to law that you will follow in each of these scenarios. So here, when the innings ends of Team Red at 12:03, it is 7 minutes before the scheduled lunch break of 12:10. So law tells us that we need to take lunch immediately. So we will go through it tomorrow in the revision lecture, that you need to, when answering your questions, you need to type out the law that is relevant to the question, or at least your understanding thereof. We don't expect you to memorize and know each law word by word, and you definitely don't need to mention which law says this particular terminology. So you just need to type your understanding of the law. So I will say here, law says that if an innings ends 10 minutes or less before the scheduled lunch break, lunch shall be taken immediately and shall be of the agreed length. Therefore, in this scenario, we will take lunch from 12:03 to 12:43. The 10 minutes or 10-minute interval for change of innings shall be included in the 40-minute lunch break. No overs shall be lost for the change of innings. I think it's a good idea to say, therefore, no overs shall be lost for the change of innings. And you can easily correct your spelling. You cannot right-click on the words. You just need to see where you have gone wrong with your spelling and correct accordingly. Therefore, okay. So Whenever there's a question with overs noted in the question, then we need to mention how many overs are left in the day. So 100 minus 32 is equal to 68 overs remaining in the day. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you would get 4 marks for this particular question, question 1.1. So we've answered 1.1 because the questions of 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 are all on the same page. We will answer them all in the same text box. So I'll go 1.2 and I'll put in the answer for 1.2. I'm not going to read the question and answer it fully. 1.3, another answer. 1.4, hopefully another correct answer. Okay. What you will have noticed as well is that there are artificial intelligence flags in red, showing me that they can see that there's speaking or lip movements detected. Okay, so that is part of the proctoring process. And whenever there's a red flag, the proctor, Abdullah, on his side, is seeing these flags and might intervene and send you a message. Abdullah, maybe you can send me a message on your side and say, Tom, we have detected lip movement. Please stop talking. And I want the candidates to see that message pop up on my screen as the exam candidate. While Abdullah does that, I'm going to show you how then to move on to the next question. There I click on next and it has saved my submission for questions 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, and it's taken me to the next question, which is question 2. So here the live chat has just popped up. It says, "Hi Tom, we've detected lip movement. Please stop talking." So that is a first and final warning from the proctor to the exam candidate. And if there is continued infringements of the instructions given by the proctor, then the proctor, Abdullah, you can also type any further infringements and we will terminate your exam. That is the serious nature in which we take these infringements. That is why we have invested in the software. It is a world-leading proctoring software, and it records all movements. You will see if I move away from the screen, what it will say. It will show that no person present. So this is obviously a problem because I, as the exam candidate, have not asked permission of the proctor for me to leave. So what I should do beforehand is I should ask, "Hi, proctor, may I please go to the toilet?" And then the proctor will say yes or no. And if he or she does say yes, then they will tell me how long I have to go to the toilet and come back. So Abdullah, you can type in there that yes, you may go to the toilet. Please be back in 3 minutes. And that will be, we will obviously not allow you to go to the toilet 10 times during the exam. We will monitor your behavior and might even disallow toilet visits if we suspect any cheating from your first toilet visit. What I want to show you as well, after submitting this next question's answer, is if I try to navigate away from this exam screen, what is going to happen? So I'm going to minimize. I'm going to exit full screen, and I'm going to go to the presentation, and I'm going to try and copy and paste some valuable information from the presentation. Let's see. What if one of the questions is the deliberate deception of batters? Let's see if I can copy and paste all of that. When I come back to the website of the exam, I cannot paste, okay? And I should get a pop-up warning to say that I have left the screen. Let me just submit another answer. Not sure why that pop-up message is not appearing. Let me try it again. I've left that exam screen. When I come back, should give me a warning. There we go. It says you're not allowed to navigate away from the exam screen. 2 more attempts would lead to disqualification from the exam. Okay, so you have a maximum of 3 allowances to navigate away from the screen. You should not be navigating away from the screen during the exam. The only reason that we do give 2 or 3 attempts is you could navigate to another screen by mistake. So we will allow you 3 mistakes. On the 4th time that you navigate away from the screen, we will then immediately terminate. The system will immediately terminate your exam, and it will not be marked. So that is how strict the system is in terms of navigating away from the screen.
Tom, just to add, as a proctor, if
Yes.
someone navigates to another screen, I'm able to see the screen because the candidate said the entire screen. I
Correct.
can see where the candidate has scrolled to, and I can actually see everything. If you try to copy and paste, I can see your screen as a proctor. Over.
Perfect. Thanks, Abdullah. Yes, always keep in mind that Big Brother is watching. So Abdullah and I will be proctoring all of your exams coming up on Saturday and on Monday. And yes, we might have up to 30 candidates each that we need to proctor, but we will have visibility of all of your screens, and we will maximize whoever screen has a red flag. Whenever there's a red flag, that candidate, their icon is highlighted. We will go to that candidates and enlarge their screen so that we can see why there's a red flag, and we will either by word or by verbally or by texting you, we will warn you of the infringements that you have just committed. So please, ladies and gents, like I said, we've invested a lot in this proctoring software because of the issues that we had in the level 2 online exam that we were running via Microsoft Teams. It just was not secure enough. Cricket South Africa has forced us to invest in a secure proctored exam solution. This is it. The user interface, as you can see, is very easy to use. And also, if your device and your internet connection is good, then you will easily complete the exam in good time. So I'm just going to flip through more answers, and we might not make it to the 24 out of 24, but let's try and do that so that you can see what happens right at the end of the exam. I'm just going through my notes to make sure that I have gone through everything that I need to. If you don't finish in your allocated 3 hours and 45 minutes, it will just submit the answers that you have been able to get through. Let us mark a question for review. So if we're not 100% sure of what we are submitting for this particular question, then we click on mark for review, and then it will actually, at the end, it will tell us before you submit all of your answers that, hang on, you wanted to go back to that question to answer it, or you can easily just navigate to previous, and it will take you to the previous question. I think you can go all the way back to the very first question if you want to, but I'm not going to go any further back. I'm just going to change it to mark for review at the end, and then we'll see what we can do at the end. Just in the interest of time, I'm going to speed through the rest of these questions. And these questions are not what you are going to see in your level 3 exam. These are a bunch of revision questions that you might see some of them tomorrow in our revision lecture. Okay. Abdullah, are there any other functionalities or flags that I have forgot to mention in the proctoring process?
No, Tom, you've covered all aspects. Thanks.
Okay, great. What I will do as well is, right now I'm going to allow users or candidates to be able to activate their microphones and their cameras. If there are any questions that are directed or related to the exam process, this is a good time to ask while we are going through the demonstration. So if you have questions related to the content that we've delivered, please hold on with those questions. Please, let's just go through any questions, any hands up, Abdullah, related to the exam online procedures. Last warning, you're not allowed to navigate away from the exam screen. One more attempt will lead to disqualification. So that will be my last navigation away from the screen. Abdullah, I see a few hands up. If you can,
yes, Tom. First hand was Connor. Connor, can you unmute your microphone and ask your question, please, Connor?
Good evening, Abdullah and Tom. I just want to ask a question that is based on in a match that I saw that happened during a club match here in PE. So basically what happened was...
Connor, we're going to open the floor later on for questions. The questions now is only with regards to the exam, the proctoring, any questions. Once we open the floor once we go through the chat box, answer those questions, we'll then open the floor for any other related questions. So don't keep your question. You can just ask it later on. Thanks, Connor.
All right, then, thanks, Abdullah. Thanks.
Okay. Venkat, you next. Can you unmute your microphone and ask your question, please? And after Venkat, Abir.
Hi, Abdullah Venkat, you mean as in me, right? I'm multi. um, can you hear me?
Yes, Malati, we can hear you. Ask your question.
Okay. No, because you said Venkat, I got a little confused. I'm multi Venkat, but still, yeah. Okay, so what I have a question is that I know Tom mentioned it's AI based and any movement is going to be recorded or noted. Uh, I was thinking that I tend to drink a lot of water during the exam. So is that allowed?
Let's see if there's any flag of drinking of water. It says a book or phone has been observed. So it's not
Okay.
exactly sure what this is. It doesn't say water bottle. So what the proctor will do is they will go to your screen, enlarge it, ask you to do what you did before, do it
Okay.
again, and then
Okay.
we can verify that it's drinking of water, not an issue. What is an issue is if you hold your phone in front of the screen, it does detect that a book or phone
Okay.
is observed, and that will not be allowed. So drinking of water, not a problem. Use of phone, apart from you using your phone in the exam, is not allowed.
Okay, got it. I do have one more question. I'm sorry I could not attend your earlier lecture so far because I was out of the country. Are we required to use a calculator? Are there going to be calculations?
Yes, there are going to be calculations. We'll go through them tomorrow in the revision lecture. So yes, you are allowed a calculator in the exam.
So do we get to show you before or how does it? I mean, because that is also going to be another motion, right? And an object.
Yes, you can show it to the proctor before the exam, and we will then know what it looks like, your calculator looks like.
Okay. Okay. That's all I had. Thank you so much, both of you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Malati. Abir.
Yeah, I have two questions as earlier also. So I work from my office. So I will have my office laptop with the screen, but that should be switched off. I'll not be using that. Is it okay I take it from my office, or I would you advise me to take it from another room?
Abir, if you have your laptop closed, your other laptop closed, it's okay. But to make things easier for all of us, if you could take it out of the room completely, that would be ideal.
Okay, thank you. And the second question is like follow to what Malati has asked on the calculator. Can we use our phone as a calculator, or need a separate calculator?
No, don't use your phone as a calculator, please. You need a normal calculator that we allow to use, because
Okay.
we can't see what you are seeing on your phone. So no phones, please.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tom, next hand was Viswa.
Uh, I tend to stretch a lot and at times speak out or read the questions out. That is generally a habit when I'm taking any kind of exam or doing something with more focus. So what happens?
So normally in an exam room where you have other candidates sitting, would you be allowed to talk? And
Stretching, like physical stretch is okay, right?
physical
Like stretch my
stretching is
hands out
okay.
and all that.
Yeah.
Next is if I read it out with only my lips, not like reading out loud, just like my lips only moving, no sound, just to rephrase the question a few times, just to get my muscle memory in. Is that a problem too?
So I've just spoken I've just moved my lips without saying anything, and the AI detected that. So it's going to cause a flag. We're going to have to view you. It's just going to be unnecessary focus on you. So if you are able not to do it, I would prefer that you don't do it. Otherwise, the proctor is going to keep asking you, are you talking? Why are you talking? Because we're going to see the flag. We might not hear it, but we're going to see the flag and we're going to have to act on the flag. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Thank you. Any more hands up?
No more hands, Tom.
Great stuff. Is it still Connor's
It's,
hand?
it's still Connor, but Connor's got a general question which we can handle when we do our Q&A.
Cool. So I am got 2 more questions left, and then I will get to the end of the exam. Shadab Khan has got his hand up. Shadab, you can unmute the microphone and ask your exam-related question.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Shadab.
Sir, I have no laptop, so can he get exam on mobile phone or not?
Yes, the exam is possible to be taken on a mobile phone. It's just you're going to have to type everything on your phone, which is not as comfortable as typing on a laptop. But if you don't have a computer, then yes, you can use your phone. The phone must have a camera and the phone must have a microphone.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay. So I have gone past question 24 and I've clicked next, and I'm not sure why. I think I didn't put in an answer for question 3, so that's why it took me all the way back. Strange. It's
Looks like question 9 is also empty, Tom.
question 9, correct. So on the right-hand side of the screen, you can, let me just close my live chat. You can see all the questions that have been submitted. Question 9 wasn't submitted. That's why it's gone all the way back. And I'm going to unmark it for review. And I'm going to say reviewed. And then if I go next, it still takes me through all of them again. It now actually has the option for me to submit exam because they're all green. Mohammed Amir Rawoot, your hand is up. Please unmute your microphone. The floor is
Hi,
yours.
Tom. The option to submit your exam was covered by the live chat. So if you had left question 3 empty and question 9 marked for review, and you click submit exam, probably would have come up with something.
Okay. Thanks for picking that up, Mohammed. So now that we have seen everything is green, I'm happy to submit exam. Of course, what this shows you is that you can go through all of your questions again if you want to check your answers before submitting, all the way from question 1 through to question 24, or however many questions there are. I think there's 27 in the real level 3 exam. So now I'm going to submit exam. And it says, are you sure you want to submit the test? 24 questions answered, 0 for review, 0 not answered. Happy days. Submit. The exam has been submitted successfully. Please wait while the recording is being saved. If this process exceeds 5 minutes, feel free to close the exam window. And also, when you submit the exam and it has finished saving your recording, the proctor is informed that you have completed your exam. So there it is. Your exam is submitted. You may close the window now. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the proctoring process of our new online exams. And you can see that that new exam has moved from my portal under registered, or I think something to that effect. It has moved down to past exams and ticked as completed. Then what will happen is the exam markers will go into the portal and they will mark the exams online. And once they've all marked and then they will be somebody will check all the marks, and then once we're happy with all the marks, then we will automatically send you your results by email. So all online, all very interactive and a smooth process, a secure process. And I'm sure you noted that there weren't any issues in terms of the authorization from the proctor's side and the communication with the proctor as well during the exam. If there are any red flags, is easy either by speaking or by text. You stick to the rules, you won't need to hear from the proctor. You will probably get the results depending on how many candidates we have writing. Please remember that Abdullah and I and other markers will all be involved in the SA20 competition starting on the 9th of January. So it might take us up to about 3 weeks to mark all of your exams. But I will communicate any updates via email. Cool. I am now going to stop sharing and I'm going to go into the chat box and we will get into our questions on there for today. I see most of you got the answers for the two quiz questions correct. Well done. Viswa, I did answer your question about the waist height full toss. Is the call made by the striker's end umpire or the bowler's end umpire? Next question was from Muhammad Faisal Karim. Can the bowler's end umpire call no ball if the striker's end umpire does not call it and it is clearly above waist height? Faisal, I did also touch on that during the quiz question review. So I'm going to keep scrolling through the chat box. And I'm seeing more answers. All good. Ntima Panya says, in our domestic leagues, it would be difficult to ascertain whether the delivery being a big no ball was deliberate or if the bowler just accidentally overstepped. Abdullah, can you maybe give Nti and the other candidates clues as to when we can expect or when we might see a deliberate front foot no ball from a bowler?
Nti, there's usually clues that happen before a deliberate no ball gets bowled. And that clue is if there is a bit of niggle between batter and the bowler. Let's say strikers hit the bowler for first ball 4, second ball 6, third ball 4, fourth ball 6. Now there's a bit of verbal. Bowler's not too happy. Bowler saying striker something. Strikers doesn't stand back. Also say something. Now the fifth ball, after there's been a bit of verbals, the fifth ball is suddenly the fast bowler is now a meter over the popping crease with the front foot. So in that instance, and because of the clues that happened before that, there was a bit of words between batter and bowler. That is usually an indication that that ball, that front foot no ball was deliberate, and you then need to take action. So you usually you look for clues, and that is usually a clue, a bit of argy-bargy, a bit of words between batter and bowler. You can also find, and I had this in a provincial 4-day competition early December, where the opening bowler, first day of the game, he then lost his run up. I could hear that feet, when a bowler was losing their run up, I could hear that feet. So he was stuttering as he got to the crease. And then he went quite big over. Yes, I called no ball. And then I asked him, sure, bowler, I see you were way over. He said to me, sorry, Umpy, sorry. I just lost my stride. And sorry, I know it was over, but I didn't want to bail out. The point I'm just trying to make, yes, it was way over, but this was, I think, the third or the fifth over, I remember, of day one. And there was no words between bowler and batter, but bowler just lost his run-up and he went way over. So in that instance, yes, he was way over, but I did not see that as a deliberate front foot no ball compared to my first example, where there was lots of verbals, and then suddenly a bowler being a meter over. That's definitely a deliberate front foot no ball. So yeah, you need to use clues at your disposal, making that call. And a big clue for deliberate front foot no ball is words between batter and bowler. And I mean, if you ask yourself the question, why would the bowler want to bowl a deliberate front foot no ball? And I can only think of one reason why a fast bowler would want to be far over the popping crease. Fast bowler wants to get as close to the striker as possible, wants to bowl quick to the striker, maybe want to hurt the striker. That's the reason why the fast bowler wants to be way over the popping crease. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Dula. Next question is from Faisal. He says, so the batters are not allowed to run on the pitch with their spikes. Abdullah, you want to take that one as well, please?
Yeah, so Faisal, the law actually tells us batters should stay off the pitch. Yes, the protected area, but the law actually used the word pitch, and we know pitch is 3.05 meters wide. So after playing this shot, they actually need to run off the pitch if you want to go technically as per the law. So technically as per the law, yes, whether they do have spikes on, whether they don't have spikes on, they need to be off this pitch. I had a bowler at a club game 2 years ago, bowling with tekkies. What is tekkies, Tom? What is the correct word for tekkies? I know the South African word is tekkies.
Running shoes.
Running shoes. A bowler bowling with running shoes, and he then ran straight down the middle. I said, oh, bowler, you're running straight down the middle in the protected area. Then he said to me, yeah, but umpire, I've got the running shoes on. No, the law doesn't distinguish between the running shoes or spikes or half spikes. The law tells us bowler in the follow through without reasonable cause should not be in the protected area. It's irrelevant what type of shoes he or she have on. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Tula. Zaheb Ali has asked us 2 questions. The first one is a penalty time question. I'll take this one. He says, if a player leaves the field at 11:40 and lunch is taken at 12 for 40 minutes from 12 until 12:40, the fielder does not come back on the field after the resumption of play after the lunch break. He comes back at 10 minutes past 1. How much penalty time does he have to serve? So, Zohaib, we're going to go through a few of these tomorrow in our revision lecture, but I'll take you quickly through this one. And it's important that we break it down step by step. Every single interval or any occurrence of note, we need to take the times and calculate how much penalty time is owed then. So from 11:40, when the player went off, until 12, when we went off for lunch, is 20 minutes. So at 20 minutes, it's good umpiring practice at lunchtime, it's good umpiring practice to inform the fielding side that captain, your player who went off at 11:40, he now currently owes us 20 minutes of playing time, of penalty time. Lunch is taken from 12 until 12:40 and does not count for or against a player. So that time is not going to be added to the 20 minutes. What will be added to the 20 minutes is after lunch, when that player does not take the field with the rest of his team, from 12:40 until until 10 minutes past 1, that's 13:10. That is 30 minutes that is now added to the 20 minutes. So at 10 past 1, when the player comes back onto the field, he will owe us 50 minutes of penalty time. And it is good umpiring practice immediately when you allow that player to come back onto the field. Quickly do your calculations on the back of your bowling card and tell that bowler, you can bowl again in 50 minutes playing time, and captain, you can use the bowler in 50 minutes of playing time. So if this is a test match and the session is from 12:40 until 14:40, we will have a drinks break at 13:40. That drinks break in test match cricket is 4 minutes long. It does not count for or against that player. So 13:10 until 13:40 at the drinks break, he has served 30 minutes of penalty time. So at the beginning of the drinks break, he owes us 50 minutes that he owed minus 30 minutes. He owes us 20 minutes. And then, because the drinks break does not count for or against him, he will only continue to reduce his penalty time that he owes. He will only continue to serve penalty time after the drinks break. So from 13:44 until 14:04, 20 minutes later, he will have completed serving his penalty time. So he can bowl again at 14:04. And you, as either umpire, need to do those calculations as soon as you can when the bowler returns after lunch. After 10 past 1. Abdullah, next question from Zohaib Ali is quite a weird scenario. I don't think it's physically possible, but let's try and visualize it. The striker hits the ball straight back down the wicket, and it hits the stumps at the bowler's end, and the ball comes straight back to the stumps at the striker's end, and it hits the striker's wickets, and the bails fall off. Will the striker be out bowled in that scenario? Abdullah, very unlikely
Yeah,
scenario.
highly unlikely, but yes, it meets all the criteria of bold. Didn't touch anyone, didn't touch any of the 11 fielders, didn't touch the batter, didn't touch an umpire. It then came back onto the stump, so it meets all the criteria of bold. Don't think it will ever happen, but yes, it meets all the criteria of bold. Over.
Thank you. Next question is from Stefan, from a high school game that I think he was involved in. A top order batter pulls a hamstring while taking a single, running towards him, the bowler's end umpire. He falls to the ground short of his crease and is unable to get up. There was no external blow and no reason to suspect that the batter faked an injury or was trying to deceive anybody. I urged him to crawl forward to make his ground, which he did, and there was no attempt to run him out. Seeing that he was unable to walk or run, should I have considered the injury as serious? Should I have called and signaled dead ball before the fielding side tried to run him out? Abdullah, how would you have handled that scenario if you were in Stefan's shoes at the bowler's
Yeah.
end?
So Stefan, the law guides us when it comes to calling and signaling a dead ball, and it tells us when a possible serious injury to anyone occurs, whether it's any of the players or an umpire, with the emphasis on serious. So now with in your scenario, with the batter, looks like pulling a hammy. So in my interpretation, that does not, for me, fall under my definition of a serious injury to a player. So I would not have called and signaled dead ball. For me, something serious is, let's say, ball makes contact with neck, or uh, or or head. Um, I had a I had an instance a year or two ago where the ball went high up in the air, fielder under it, was back pedaling, and then tried to catch the ball, and then the fielder landed on his neck and shoulder part. That's where I intervened. I saw that as an example of a serious injury. It was actually serious because we had to stop play for about half an hour while the ambulance secured the player and take him to hospital to have his spine checked out. So serious, those are examples. Any neck or head injury, but pulling a hammy, for me, that doesn't fall under my interpretation of a serious injury. So I would not have called and signaled dead ball. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Dula. I do agree with you there. A hamstring pull is hardly ever considered a serious injury. Yes, the person will be out for maybe a few weeks, but for me, I consider a serious injury if there is a likelihood that he needs to go to hospital because of the injury. And for hamstring injuries, that's not usually the case. Viswa asks, I think, related to the deliberate deception by the wicketkeeper, if the bowlers and umpire should have called wide for the ball being delivered down leg side. Viswa, I think that was a Day match or a time cricket match. You will see that there is no wide line indicator on the offside. So that means that balls delivered down the leg side are not automatically called wide. They need to be similar to test match cricket, very far down leg side to be called wide. Mustafa Oberey says that in the last level 3 exam that he wrote, there were no marks allocated for informing and reporting on particular incidents. He wants to advise if that's still the case or if that has changed. Mustafa, so nothing has changed. You're quite correct. However, if a marker is looking to help you to get 1 or 2 marks to get over that 80% pass mark, and you have written inform and report somewhere, he or she might be generous enough to give you half a mark for inform and half a mark for report, and that might be the difference between you passing or failing the exam. So where the law requires for you to inform everyone and report the matter to the governing body of a particular match or tournament, please do write in the exam, inform and report. We are saving you time by telling you only to write inform and report and not 2 long sentences as to who you should inform and who you should report to. So please, in the exam, do write inform and report where law requires informing and reporting. Next question is from Abir from Dallas. A question on deliberate deception by the fielding side. A bowler bowls a ball and the striker hits the ball between 2 fielders. The bowler quickly runs back to the stumps at the bowler's end and starts shouting, "No run, no run." Will this act of the bowler be considered as deliberate deception by the fielding side? Abdullah, quite a tricky one when, especially wicket keepers, shout "no run," or they shout "yes two," or they shout "wait, wait," when the ball is hit into the outfield. How would you treat those scenarios?
Yeah, it is a tricky one. You need to look at the situation, its context. You need to ask yourself, was there an attempt by the bowler or the keeper to try to deliberately deceive either of the 2 batters? Always in these situations, if you do think it, go have a chat to your colleague, get another opinion. If the 2 of you are in agreement that it was an attempt, you can then apply the law. If there's no agreement, then do not apply law 41.5. But yeah, practically it happens a lot where they shout "no run." I've heard cases where the bowler will shout to the field on the boundary, "Stop the 2, stop the 2, or stop the 3." Yeah, for me, those are not instances of trying to deceive the batter. The bowler was just looking at his or her figures, try to to get as little runs as possible against their bowling figures. So yeah, you need to look at the situation, and if there was a deliberate deception attempt, go chat to your colleague. If you're both in agreement, you can apply the law, but you need to look at the situation. And looking at this, as I said, you see it often, bowlers shouting "no run" or "stop the run" or "only 1" or "only 2." I don't see that as trying to deliberately deceive the fielding side or the batters. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Tula. Atik has got 2 questions to do with the recently completed test match between Australia and India. I think Atik might be an India fan because he sounds upset by some of the decisions that were made. First one was Jaiswal, who was given out by the TV umpire for a caught behind decision. Abdullah, I don't know if you saw that. The Snicko, because in Australia they use Snicko, they don't use Ultra Edge. Snicko showed a flat line, but the TV umpire, Saikat, a very good friend of ours, in my opinion, correctly gave it out because he saw a obvious deflection, and the deflection could only have been off the bat or off the glove. because the hook shot was played above the head height of the striker. Dula, I'm not sure if you saw that and if you have an opinion of it.
No, Tom, I did not see it. But what I can, what I can say about DRS and the what is allowed and what is not allowed. Yes, you can utilize the tools at your disposal to help you get to a decision, but the playing condition or the DRS protocols also allow you, to use visuals to help you to get to a decision. We've seen on many occasions where, especially if the ball hits the glove, did the ball hit the glove?
Yes.
Yeah, especially if the ball hits the glove, ultra edge or sneakers sometimes don't pick up the soft noise. But the DRS protocols allow you, but now there needs to be 100% evidence of a deflection. 100%. Should be no doubt that there's a deflection. And if that is the case, you can go on visuals. So I didn't see the incident, but looks like Psychet was 100% convinced of the deflection. Hence, he went on the visuals because the protocols allow you to go on visuals as well. Over.
Thanks, Dula. Correct. That was the decision made based on the deflection that the third umpire detected in the replay. Happy. Atik asks about Akash Deep given out, but there was no inside edge observed. The third umpire gave it out. I can't comment on that one because I haven't seen or read anything about Akash Deep's dismissal. Abdullah, I don't know if you saw or heard about that particular dismissal.
No, Tom.
I think we will maybe try and find, or if you've got any visual evidence of that dismissal, please send it to us and we can discuss it tomorrow night's lecture. Zander says he's a 14-year-old still in school, so he does not have an ID, but he does have an ID number. Will that be enough for the registration process? Zander, we would prefer if you have a document that has your picture and your name on it. So if you've got a, I don't know if in your school you have a student card or a scholar card or a pupil's card that has your picture and your name on it, that would be great. If not, how did you get an ID number? Is it a document that you got from Home Affairs showing your ID number? If you've got that document, then please email it to training@wpcua.co.za, or you can take a picture of it on the day of the exam. Mustafa asks, can we go back and forth through the questions to maybe change answers? Mustafa, I think you probably wrote that question before I got to the end and was able to flip through all of the questions again before I submitted the answers. So the answer to your question is yes, you can go back and forth throughout the exam to change or complete questions that you previously didn't complete or needed to change. Just beware of the time limit as you navigate through the exam. Mohammed asks, how many marks is the exam and is the pass mark still 80%? Yes, Mohammed, the pass mark is still 80%. The level 3 exam is out of 130 marks, and 80% of 130 is 104 marks that you need to get. Okay, so 80% pass mark. out of 130 is a minimum of 104 required to pass Cricket South Africa's level 3 exam. Zander says, kindly advise if I can apply to the Western Province Cricket Umpires Association whilst being a scholar. I read that you have to be available to umpire when needed. Our school games mostly take place on weekends. Will this be a problem? Zander, we do have a number of under 18 scholars who umpire and are members of Western Province Cricket Umpires Association. Yes, if you're umpiring for your school or if you're playing for your school on a Saturday, you can still umpire league matches on a Sunday. So yes, you are most welcome to join the Western Province Cricket Umpires Association. What you can do is you can drop me an email at training@wpcua.co.za asking for the online membership application form, and I will send it to you on email and you can fill it out. And I imagine you already have level 2, so you can, even before your level 3 exam, apply to become a member of WPCUA. Rahul, you asked the question. Can you read the question loud while framing my answer? You tend to verbalize my answer while writing. I've told you the issues that will arise. The AI will flag your infringement for moving your lips. So please, rather do not move your lips for the entirety of the exam, except if asking the proctor if you may go to the toilet. You can actually even ask the proctor to go to the toilet by typing into the chat box, as I did with Abdullah. So rather use that chat box and refrain from lip movement. Yes, Big Brother is watching. Cynthia says, please, can a demo be made so we can practice? I'm not too good with typing on desktop and laptop. So Cynthia, yes, tomorrow we will be going through 26 questions that we have on a presentation on a number of slides, and we can send those 26 questions to all of you after the lecture, and you can then practice typing the answers onto the slides. We will not be providing you with the answers for those 26 revision questions by text or documented on slides. Why? Because some of those questions or the answers are repeated in Cricket South Africa's level 3 exam, so we cannot have them displayed on screen, and obviously we cannot have them emailed to you either. Abir asks, what is the time we should consider for an over? We consider 3 minutes for an over that is to be bowled in the last hour of a multi-day match. What is the benchmark for a non-last over, last hour over? So Abir, there are no calculations outside of the last hour where you would need to consider 3 minutes for an over or 4 minutes for an over. The only calculations which are in the exam where you need to consider amount of minutes for an over are last hour calculations. And law tells us that our last hour calculations are based on 20 overs in the last hour. 60 minutes divided by 20 overs gives us 3 minutes per over. So use 3 minutes per over in the last hour. There are no calculations for overs left in the day. In the middle of the day, you don't need to calculate number of minutes per over. You just need to calculate overs remaining in the day. Mahmoud asks, are we allowed a calculator next to us? Yes, Mahmoud, the calculator is the only device other than the device you are using to answer your exam questions that is allowed in the room that you will be writing the exam. Daniel Peters asks, is there a calculator on the site? No, Daniel, you need to bring your own calculator into the room that you will be writing the exam and show that calculator to us before the exam. You are not allowed to use your phone as a calculator. If you are using a laptop or a tablet, please leave your phone outside of the room that you will be writing the exam in. Mike asks, the striker goes on the sweep and hits it sweetly towards the square leg umpire. The umpire, as a reflex action, catches the ball, throws it up. The mid-wicket fielder reacts quickly and catches the ball without the ball touching the ground. Abdullah, there will be an appeal from the fielding side. What is the answer to that appeal and why, please?
Who asked the question? Mike, I think you said. Mike,
yes.
Mike, umpires are part of the game. So if the ball hits, ricochets off the umpire, and it gets taken by the fielder before the ball touches the ground, striker to be given out court. So in your scenario, because the umpire is part of the game, yes, it was a reflex reaction. Umpire then threw the ball up, fielded, caught it before touching the ground. So the decision in this would be out court. That's why important for umpires. You need to be awake at the strikers in, even at bowlers in, and try to get out of the way of the ball if it do gets hit straight at you. So yeah, unfortunately for the striker, this scenario, striker out court, overtime.
Thanks, Tula. Next question is from Zohaib Ali. The striker shoulders arms and decides to run. A fielder attempts a run out. The ball misses the stumps. It hits the batter while making good his ground, and the ball deflects off the batter, Ben Stokes style, all the way to the boundary. Since there was no shot offered, what will happen to the boundary 4? Will it count or will all runs be disallowed? Abdullah, Zoeb doesn't mention if the ball hit the striker's pad or person, or if the ball went missed everything and went past the wicket keeper. So maybe if you can answer both scenarios, please.
So listening to the question, I think you said batter making good his ground. Making good his ground. So as per the law, when no shot is offered, as soon as the batters complete a run, umpire needs to call and signal dead ball.
That's if the ball has hit the person of the striker.
Sorry?
That's if the ball has hit the person of the striker.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, as soon as that one run is completed, the ball technically becomes dead.
Correct.
That's the first thing. The second thing is, because no shot is offered, the law guides us here by telling us, disallow all runs to the batting side except if there was a no ball or a wide. So since all runs needs to be disallowed, that boundary 4 or overthrow 4 should not be allowed. So no runs to be scored here. Batters needs to be sent back to their original ends. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Dula. Zohaib Ali has clarified the scenario somewhat. He says the ball hits the stumps and goes on to go past the boundary. Zohaib, I just need you to clarify one more thing. Did the ball hit the striker's pads, or did the ball miss the striker completely? Because there's two different answers. Okay, so Zohaib says yes, the ball did hit the striker's pads. So Abdullah, you've given the answer there. Disallow all runs to the batting side, call and signal dead ball as soon as the first run is completed, and send the batters back to their original ends. And the boundary 4 won't count because you have called and signaled dead ball as soon as that first run was completed. So whether the ball has hit the batter or the ball has hit the stumps, Zohaib, it doesn't matter. As soon as they complete that first run, because no shot was offered and the ball hit the person of the striker, as soon as they complete that first run, you call and signal dead ball. I hope that clears your scenario, Zohaib Ali. Rahul asks, if the bowler's end umpire clearly sees a short-pitched ball going over the head in a T20 game, can he call a wide even before the striker's end umpire? Can batters complain that it's not your call and it's actually the striker's end umpire's call? Abdullah, I mentioned it about the full tosses. Can you also explain about wides over the head height of a striker?
Yes, Tom, thanks for your question, Rahul. So which umpire is in the best position to call whether it's waist height full toss or ball going over shoulder height or head height of the striker? Yes, the striker's in umpire is in the best position to call it. Although the bowler's in umpire will make the call or signal to the scorer. So we get guided by our strikers in umpire. And 99.999% of the time, you go with strikers in umpire's call. Doesn't matter what you think. But that's 99% of the time. You go with strikers in umpire's call. Yes, there are times where strikers in umpire do lose the ball. There is maybe a dark background if you do play, let's say, it's a Morde cricket with a red ball. And sometimes strikers in do lose it. So in that case, and bowlers in can quickly pick up, you can see the body language of your strikers in umpire whether he or she lost it in the background. And if that is the case, then there's nothing stopping you from making that call of wide. But that's the 1% of the time. The other 99% of the time, you go with your strikers in umpire's call. Just as your strikers in when he or she makes a call, they want you to to go with their call. Just imagine you standing at strikers in, and you make the call. It's not above waist height, and bowlers in umpire overrules you. It's not going to look good. Teamwork is not going to look good. So to summarize, strikers in umpire needs to own it. 99% of the time, you go with strikers in. Whatever you feel, doesn't matter, you go with strikers in. That 1%, if strikers in do lose it, and you can quickly pick up the body language of strikers in if they lost it in the background or they're not sure, then you can make the call. It's still your call. You need to you indicate the wide call if it is wide to the scorers. But otherwise, Rahul, go with your strikers and umpire.
Great
Over to you.
stuff. Last question from Zohaib. Can a batter challenge a decision of out if it's not given out as per law? Law says that the umpire needs to raise an index finger above the head. So if the umpire gives it out here and not above the head, can the batter stand and not leave? Zohaib Ali, even though the umpire is technically incorrect with that signal, all strikers, all batters know that a finger up like this, even if it's not above the head, is out. So that batter needs to leave, otherwise can be charged with dissent. Of course, if it is a DRS match, they can review the decision, but if it's not a decision review system match, then they cannot review the decision. They need to leave the field of play. So those are all the questions and comments in the chat box. We're now going to go to the hands that are raised in the meeting room. And Kramer had his hand up a lot earlier than Rian. So Kramer, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Tom. I just wanted to find out. I went to a match, and what happened was it was not qualified umpires that stood there, but I went to go and look up the scenario, and I tried to figure it out. What would happen in the scenario? Because what happened was the bowler ran in to the umpire, okay, in his run up, and that now caused that the umpire who's not qualified lost his balance, and the bowler then in his delivery stride saw that the non-striker was sort of his ground, stealing ground, but he did not deliver the ball, okay, and then after that he then breaks the wickets, but the bowlers and umpire then just gave the guy out. Is it actually right or is it wrong in that context?
Connor, that sounds suspiciously like a question in the Cricket South Africa Level 3 exam. So for that reason, I'm not going to answer it. But if you go according to law, then you will know exactly what the outcome of that decision is. And Abdullah covered that law last week, Tuesday, in the running out of the non-striker. Next hand up is Rian Fenter. Rian, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Hi, Tom and Abdullah. Well, I did a club game the other day between Dispatch and one of the other clubs. And as I was standing at the non-striker's end, the bowler was running in and I could hear something wasn't right by the way he was running. And as he was winding up to deliver his ball, I actually heard him drop down and turned around and I saw him clenching his chest. So stopped the game immediately and asked him what's wrong. He said he had a pain across his chest. So had guys bring some water, asked him if we should phone paramedics and all that stuff. He said no, he should be fine in a couple of minutes. And as he got up, he started shaking, and I just felt that he wasn't right. So I actually sent him off the field, fearing for his safety. Was that something? Was it correct, or should I have just left it and let it go on, or what?
Abdullah, you want to take that one?
Yes, Tom. So Rian, this is senior cricket that you were officiating, and so what I would have done is I would have called the fielding captain. We all saw the signs. it signs all indicates to maybe a small heart attack. I would explain to the captain, this is the situation, this is the signs that we are seeing. I think it is best that your bowler goes off to have himself checked out. You can bring up a substitute. This is an injury, but I can only advise. This is just my opinion as an umpire. So you put the onus in the hands of the fielding captain and the bowler. They then need to make the decision whether the player is going to continue or going to go off to get treatment. That is how I would have handled it, Rian.
Okay, so yeah, that's more or less the way it went. I actually did call the captain and the vice captain as well, and the batter that was on strike also came across. So I said, guys, look, I'm considering this as a serious injury where this guy could have maybe even a bigger heart attack. And the captain sent him off, and one of the other guys came in and finished the over because I think there was something like 3 balls left to bowl. So yeah, it was more or less that. But I just felt that as an umpire, the emphasis was on me or for safety on the field. That's what I said, guys. Let's rather not allow him to play further.
Great stuff. I think well handled there. Rian, player safety needs to be a top priority in umpires managing the game. So I see no further questions or comments in the chat box. Rian, I'm assuming that's still an old hand. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all for your attendance and your interaction this evening. We've gone almost to 3 hours. I have a feeling tomorrow might be just as long. We're going to have our poster boy, Stephen Harris, who is going to be the fourth umpire for the New Year's Test match at Newlands between South Africa and Pakistan. So join us again, same time, same place, same meeting link tomorrow. Thank you very much. See you and goodbye.